Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, I'm going to be showcasing a very powerful team in the Love Cup that's honestly great to use if you're looking to gain elo. This team specifically targets the double rollout teams, which is a strategy that is absolutely everywhere in the Love Cup. So what beats two normal types with rock fast moves? Double fighter. Today, we're breaking out Galarian Slowbro on the lead, Psycho Cut Medicham as the safe switch, and Scrafty power-up punching through just about everything in the format as the closer. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches. And we're picking up a bad lead in the first match, leading Galarian Slowbro into Trash Wormadam. The opponent actually on Confusion. Confusion definitely the worst move for Trash Wormadam. Bug Bite is going to be preferred, but Psycho Cut Medi can do very well here just by virtue of the fact that it has incredibly quick pacing. Counter does a lot more damage, but is very, very slow. Opponent now going to send in Alomomola to absorb energy from this Medicham, but I'm very okay with that. If this is their best response to a fighter, then they don't have a counter resist in the back, which means Scrafty should be able to farm a lot of things down, especially considering the fact that they are not running the preferred move of Bug Bite, and Confusion is going to be very heavily resisted. They do actually get the defense drop from Psychic, so a bit of unfortunate RNG there. Brutal Swing is going to land, quick switch into Scrafty. In the back, they have, that's not what I was expecting to see, they have a Kanto Electrode, but this game is already over, as now Scrafty gets to ramp up its damage. Counter did of course get nerfed, so it's slower to power up punch than it used to be. However, the damage still hits the same, so you're able to ramp up Scrafty more and more and more, and just farm through things in an endgame. They don't have a counter resist. 2-shield Scrafty is probably going to run absolutely roughshod. Discharge is going to be shielded. In comes Alomomola. They get fully farmed down. In comes Trash Wormadam. This is a heavily boosted foul play, which means it's good night for the Wormadam and game over for the opponent. We move to the next match, picking up a bit of a tricky lead, Galarian Slowbro versus Ariados. Ariados is technically a core breaker for this whole team. However, Galarian Slowbro actually does pretty fine here. You can more or less soft lose this matchup, and then that's going to set up your backline to do pretty well. Because an Ariados lead team cannot have Fairy types in the back, because Ariados and Fairy types both lose to Talonflame. So in this instance, you know seeing Ariados that your fighters will probably have some pretty nice play, as there could very well be some anti-fires lurking, and there's the first one as Tyrantrum hits the field of play. I actually choose to bring in the Psycho Cut Medicham here. I'm anticipating that it very well could be something that is weak to counter in the back, so I do want to preserve Scrafty and its ability to power up punch through things, and for Medicham, I can just spam out Ice Punches. Ice Punch is going to connect, doesn't quite KO, and that just gives me a free Psycho Cut. Opponent going to bring in Ariados, but Psycho Cuts will hit for super effective damage, and the Ice Punch will remove most of their remaining HP. In the back is Druddigon, so not what I was expecting to see in the back. I was expecting a Lickilicky, but it's still just going to be a win, as now I can send in Scrafty and begin to ramp up damage with Power Up Punch. Opponent going for the double resisted Night Slash. They know their win con is a boost, but unfortunately the boost is only a 10% chance. It does not go through, and that's going to seal their fate, as Scrafty just gets to fully counter everything down. Druddigon still going for the Hail Mary boost. It's still not coming through. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. Slowbro versus Scrafty. This is a pretty solid lead. Foul play, of course, will hit for super effective damage, but it's not awful. Here, I am going to safe switch into Scrafty, trying to catch a foul play. Unfortunately, I didn't get the catch, and they're actually on Thunder Punch. I do think that Thunder Punch is worse on Scrafty in this particular meta, as I find the ability to ramp up with Power Punch very valuable, and Foul Play is very nice for all the Psychics that are lurking about. I am going to be shielding up here, as I do want to get a farm down. Their Acid Spray Thunder Punch. What is this Scrafty moveset? Oh my goodness, that is not good at all. I shield an Acid Spray, that feels terrible. In comes a Confusion Wormadam, and now I get to bring in Medicham. Again, it's early days in the cup, but I do think that over time, Bug Bite on Wormadam is going to prove to be the far better moveset. It has a dramatically better win rate, And bug damage is better than psychic damage. I'm now going to fire off Dynamic Punch. Dynamic Punch is going to be shielded up by the Wormadam. Wormadam now going to be hit with Dynamic Punch number 2. I believe I can actually make a third here if they try and get a farm down. They're going to pivot out into a Alomomola. I bank the move and the game is over. GG's, we get the win. Because I have Dynamic Punch, which is going to be able to KO the trash Wormadam. And I just have so much energy and a shield to hide behind for the Slowbro. So Slowbro will be able to neutralize Alomomola. At this point, this game is basically over. My opponent does not have a win con as long as I'm able to execute perfectly. So I get to overfarm quite a bit, fire off the Brutal Swing. Brutal Swing, not quite gonna knock out, but it is gonna get my opponent very low. They switch in Wormadam. I try and snipe with the Medicham, and I do the only thing that can lose me the game. I mistimed my switch in. The confusion registered on the Medicham instead of the Slowbro, and I lose a game that was completely winning. What a terrible misplay. Moving to the next match, picking up a pretty good lead into Medicham. Opponent save switches into Lickilicky, and now Scrafty gets to feast. Scrafty is going to fire off a power-up punch. Lickilicky has farmed up to a Hyper Beam, and I do not want to get Hyper Beamed. I don't know if I live it. I don't want to find out, but it's just a body slam my opponent with a bit of a bait there, and they're able to bait out a shield. Body slam is going to connect. They're firing off one final body slam, and I'm more than happy just to let this go. So giving up a shield in a dominant matchup is not ideal, but it was smart play by my opponent, as that way my opponent was actually able to grab a shield in a terrible matchup. They're going to give a shield back as a boosted foul play would do quite a bit of damage. Now I can go Slowbro. In the back is going to be Miltank, and it's double rollout. This is the exact team we're trying to hard punish with this line. Miltank, it doesn't matter what they throw. Body Slam, Thunderbolt, Ice Beam. Medicham does not care, and Medicham gets the launch Dynamic Punch. Dynamic Punch into the Miltank. Miltank is going to no shield, but it will immediately be followed thereafter with an Ice Punch. Ice Punch into Miltank is going to pick up the KO. Opponent brings back in their own Medicham, and I will go for the Ice Punch. I believe Dynamic does actually do more here, but at this point, I don't really have a way to lose this game. I'm going to build up to the Ice Punch, switch into the Slowbro, and I'm able to successfully get the catch. That's going to be a catch of an Ice Punch. I have energy everywhere. Medicham is too low, and my opponent will concede the match. Slowbro versus Shadow Scizor in the next game, and Scizor, a bit of an uncomfortable Pokemon for this team to face. I'm going to stay in, build up to the Surf, and bait with a Brutal Swing. The Brutal Swing bait is going to be shielded. There's a switch to Medicham, and Psycho Cut not going to be particularly threatening here, but I will be able to threaten Dynamic Punches. Trailblaze from the Shadow Scizor. That's going to do quite a lot of damage. I'm shielding up on the Medicham. Scizor goes for Trailblaze number 2. They are now heavily boosted, and look at the Fury Cutters go. Ice Punch bait here into the Scizor. Scizor is going to commit the shield, throwing right before I get the Dynamic Punch. In the moment, I thought it was a cap tie, but it actually wasn't, and my opponent's able to switch and catch onto a Alomomola. So that's a pretty big error on my part there. It definitely wasn't cap watching it back, and it doesn't visually look like a cap tie, so that's just entirely my fault. And now I get to bring back in the Slowbro. Slowbro, Brutal Swing is going to connect. Doesn't do a ton of damage, but I will fire off Brutal Swing number 2. I decided to go for an undercharge here because I want farm on Scrafty. My opponent is going to be able to pick up the KO here. They go for the Psychic. Down goes Slowbro. I bring in the Scrafty, but switch clocks up, and Scizor re-hits the field of play. And Shadow Scizor proving to be an absolute beast in this meta. Oh my goodness. I'm going to have to try this Pokemon after how well it performed in this battle, because Scizor just absolutely crushed. Now, they're going to bring in Lickilicky, and I will go for the Power-Up Punch. Power-Up Punch into the Lickilicky, going to be boosting up my attacks more and more and more. I go for Power-Up Punch number 2. In hindsight, maybe I should have tried to commit to a Foul Play here, because of course Foul Play would do a lot more. I was hoping that I could counter down before they got the back-to-back, but they get the back-to-back. So this catch doesn't even end up mattering because they have 2. I feel like I had win conditions in that match, but I just didn't play as well as I needed to. Slowbro into Lickilicky. I have 2 better responses available. I'm going to save switch into the Medicham. Opponent going to bring in Bug Bite Wormadam. Now, this trainer is actually someone who asked for a team recommendation, and I did mention my team from yesterday. So, after I saw their username, I was aware of what they were running. And unfortunately for them, Bug Bite Wormadam is a lot stronger into Scrafty than it is Medicham, because Medicham up energy is able to outpace here. So Wormadam is going to fire off the Bug Buzz, no defense drop comes through, and with the energy advantage and the good pacing, I'm going to be able to flip switch. Dynamic Punch is going to pick up the KO. Had they brought in the Galarian Slowbro, which as it turns out they're going to have in the back, it would have been a lot more difficult of a game, because Galarian Slowbro, as I land the Dynamic Punch as well, Galarian Slowbro does a great job at making Medicham's life uncomfortable, since Medicham cannot go for its good charge attack, which is Dynamic Punch. There's the Slowbro. So as expected, it is the team that I did post yesterday. And now, by winning Switch, I'm just in a winning position in this moment. So they're going to fire off the Brutal Swing. That does get me below half HP, but I just get to Poison Jab them closer and closer to Brutal Swing range. I fire off the Brutal Swing. Opponent is going to let that go. It's a CMP tie. I commit the shield, but honestly at this point, the game is just over. I will have to show the third here, as Body Slam should just about knock out. Body Slam leaves me on 1 HP. I can bring it to Scrafty, get the farm down, and we're actually able to counter down double resisted that Slowbro and take the win. We actually see same lead in the next match, leading into Lickilicky. This time, I don't actually throw the Poison Jab before switching. I think throwing the Poison Jab is the better play to go for. Opponent brings in Talonflame. This is a good Pokemon to bait out, and I was very curious. Up energy, can Psycho Cut Medicham have an ability to flip this? Medicham is spamming out these Ice Punches. Talonflame now deep into the red, and my opponent throws on alignment, giving me a Psycho Cut for free. But Psycho Cut, it's all about energy generation. It can't do much, if any, damage. And that means, unfortunately, I think I can force shields back, but I can't flip this. So I'm actually going to switch back into the Slowbro to catch a fly and preserve Medicham, as I'm expecting Medicham will be able to put in work for me later in the match. In comes Lickilicky. I just fire off the Brutal Swing with the Slowbro. Maybe I should have committed to a Surf to force the Lickilicky to throw energy, but I only go for the Brutal Swing. They're going to fire off energy. Slam, I'm not sure if I get KO'd here. Opponent, oh, they go for a Shadow Ball. That will definitely KO. And now I bring in Scrafty. They've showed Shadow Ball, which means I should be in a pretty decent spot. They're only going to be able to hit me with Body Slams. Body Slam number 1 is going to connect, and they're going for Body Slam number 2. I really have to hope that this pair of fighters is going to be able to deliver victory for me, but that's a counter Medicham as their final Pokemon. And after they shield the foul play, I do not have a path forward in this game, as their counter Medicham is going to be able to defeat my Scrafty. My Psycho Cut Medicham could have done very well here, but it's just too low, so even up a shield, I'm just going to concede the match. Slowbro versus Skeledirge. This team does feel a bit weak to Skeledirge, so let's see how it plays out. And first up, honestly, Slowbro puts up a heck of a fight here. I'm going to build up to the Surf, bait with the Brutal Swing, and just like that, I'm able to grab an early advantage in pacing. They are going to fire off energy. Do they go for the Shadow Ball? Yes, they are going to full send. They pivot out into Lickilicky. I bank a ton of energy on Slowbro, and Scrafty hits the field of play. Scrafty, more than happy to absorb Body Slams, look to begin to ramp up with the power-up punches. And after this lands, I'm going to look for the full counter farm down. Power Up Punch connects. Opponent firing off more energy, but Scrafty, I love how well Scrafty can completely demolish these rollout users, because neutrally, these rollout users are very scary to deal with. They go for another Body Slam. In comes their Medicham, and now I get to respond with my own. They're on counter, I'm on Psycho Cut, so I will have a dramatic pacing advantage here. The Ice Punches being 5-4 for Psycho Cut Medi, that pacing is just absolutely absurd. I'm going to fire off Ice Punch after Ice Punch in this matchup, and now, after my opponent starts throwing some energy, Switch Clocks will be again available very, very shortly. They're actually going to be available right now, so my opponent will be able to switch. Ice Punch is going to connect. There's the switch to the Skeledirge. Skeledirge firing off energy, but all the energy I stored on Galarian Slowbro means I have a very clear path to victory. Farm up to the back-to-back Surfs. They don't have a move here. Throwing 2 in the move is proper timing, but I don't want the Incinerate to register. So I'll throw 1 in the move because the Surf will KO, and that way the Incinerate damage will not land. And now I have just a little bit more HP to work with. In comes Medicham. Medicham trying for a farm down, and it's just not going to happen. Slowbro makes the Brutal Swing into the Medicham, and the opponent will resign the match. We're going up against a ferocious opponent in the next match, SS Thorn. And that's a very terrible lead and a very terrible counter swap. Oh no, I have an absolute shambles and my timing with the Medicham is terrible there as I let through a confusion. I'll be honest, I was just so shook seeing an XL Slowpoke absolutely destroying my Medicham. What spice from Thorn, and all I can do is just shake my head and laugh because I am getting cooked. Water Pulse picks up the KO. I'm going to bring in the Slowbro. Slowbro going to no shield as the opponent will go for the Psyshock. And now they're going to pivot back into Crocodile. I respond with Scrafty, but I have to shield something. They're going to go for super effective Brick Breaks. Brick Break does almost no damage, but with the debuff, I'm rapidly losing health. So I felt like I had to try and do something. I go for the Power-Up Punch. Crocodile is going to get KO'd, but it's going to be their own Slowbro in the back, and there's just not a way for me to win this game. Even if I go for a Power-Up Punch bait, they can just fully farm down here, so I will concede the match. GG's to Thorn. What a team. Hopping into the final match, Galarian Slowbro versus a Alomomola. Let's save switch into Medicham and see what they want to do. Medicham is farming up a ton of energy. It's so rare that a Alomomola will actually ever throw a Hydro Pump. They can farm up a ton, but I believe here they actually don't even build up to it. So I'm just going to no shield. Psychic, that's not a real charge move by any means. Psychic just does absolutely unserious amounts of damage. Dynamic Punch connects. There is a Shadow Charizard hitting the field of play. Wow, that's the first time I saw one of those in this meta. Ice Punch lands. I switch to the Slowbro, and here I get the Brutal Swing because I did one Poison Jab before switching in the beginning of the match. Brutal Swing KOs the Charizard. They lose energy in the back. They're going to have their own Slowbro, and this is just a completely one game for me because Brutal Swing does not knock out here. I can survive this, so I will actually get to farm up very close to the back-to-back Brutal Swings. All I need is just to get a shield, and then Scrafty will be able to sweep. They actually snipe with a Alomomola, but all this does is just give farm to our good friend Scrafty. I switch into Medicham as they make the last second charge attack. It was only going to be a Psychic, but I didn't want to risk a defense drop from that Psychic. And now, I mean, all Slowbro can do is try and call a bait, because that's their only way back in this game. So I'm just not going to bait. I go straight for the foul play. It connects. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. All in all, I think that Scrafty is a terrific Pokemon in this Love Cup meta. PvPoke recommends Thunder Punch plus Foul Play. I think that giving up on the boosting ability of Power Punch would be a mistake. Thunder Punch does offer a little bit of coverage, but there's not really a whole lot of flying types outside of something like a Talonflame, and with this team, the goal is you're trying to bait that out with Medicham, so that way Scrafty's able to sweep in the end game. And there were plenty of games where the ability to boost up counter damage and just farm things down, even if they had shields available, was very, very beneficial. So if you're looking for a Love Cup climbing team, give this one a try. There's a decent chance you have a Medicham and a Scrafty from metas past, and all that's needed is a Calm Day Galarian Slowbro, or even if you don't have a Calm Day Galarian Slowbro, you can use Scald instead of Surf, and you should be well on your way to hopefully getting some elo gains. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoy watching content like this, consider leaving a like on the video and subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. And an extra special thank you to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is genuinely so appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.